EUGENE It was while he sat in the HatfieldDowlin Complex office that Carlos Huerta noticed something different about his friend. Huerta has known Mario Cristobal since high school in Miami. They lived, played and won national championships together down the street with the hometown Hurricanes, and Huerta was a groomsman in Cristobal's wedding. When Huerta visited his friend in the days before Oregon's victory against Nebraska in September, it had been 9 months since Cristobal pulled out a map and showed his mother, who still lives in Miami, Oregon's location. Like any mother would think, she felt it was a wee far away from home. During his visit, while film with Cristobal, Huerta came to a different conclusion. "I kind of looked at him in a different way than before," he said. "I'm like, man, this place just seems to fit you like a glove for some reason." He looked up at me with that crazy look he gives you and says, "Yeah, ever since I've been out here it's been a great place. I never would have thought it, and it's where I want to be." He got his wish. The 47-year-old Cristobal is Oregon's new head coach, and has been handed a $12.5 million contract over 5 years to persuade recruits to see UO as he has a long-term home. "We felt all in with Oregon after being here just a short amount of time," Cristobal said Friday during his introductory news conference, pointing off stage to his wife, Jessica, and 2 young sons. "We want to be here until you got to drag me away kicking and screaming." For those around the UO program, that sentiment might as well be a salve on a still fresh wound 3 days after Willie Taggart's departure for Florida State after just 1 season in Eugene. 1 year to the day after Taggart introduced himself to UO fans in a HatfieldDowlin Complex theater, Cristobal stood in the very same spot, behind the very same lectern, and spoke personally about his connection to football and why a South Florida native wanted to put Willamette Valley roots down like a Douglas fir. "I know a couple things that transcend geography in every way, shape or form, and that's being honest, working hard and caring," he said. "You can put me down in American Samoa, send me back to Miami Beach, ship me to Australia, and that's not going to change. I expected incredible things, and after being here a year, I can honestly say it's blown away my expectations." To back up that long-term commitment and turn down the volume on any chatter about a future return to the Southeast, Cristobal wanted it written into his contract. That's why there is a $10 million buyout should Cristobal leave prior to January 31, 2019. The buyout decreases by $2 million annually through the final year of his contract, which expires in 2023, according to a memorandum of understanding released by the university. The hiring caps a week center Jake Hansen called a whirlwind of emotions. By Wednesday afternoon, Taggart was already recruiting for Florida State while UO searched for a coach. "We went from extremely sad and disappointed just a few days ago to really excited, and we're looking forward to the future," Hansen said. "It's weird, but it's really the best possible situation. The uncertainty was pretty overwhelming," Cristobal said, after Taggart broke the news, and broke down emotionally, to players that he was leaving for Tallahassee. But he thanked Taggart for helping elevate the program during their 11 months together. "We're much better right now than we were a year ago today, and instead of getting angry and getting upset, getting all these things where your emotions are riled up, you've got to look at that as a gift," Cristobal said. "It came and it went, and now you take it and you run with it. We certainly wish him the best." Cristobal is the 4th Oregon offensive coordinator to be promoted to head coach since 1995, following Mike Bellotti, Chip Kelly and Mark Helfrich. Just like Kelly, Cristobal's first game as head coach will come against Boise State. Oregon 75 will face the 25th-ranked Broncos 103 in little more than a week, during the December 16 Las Vegas Bowl. "It was definitely tough," quarterback Justin Herbert said of Taggart's departure for Florida State, a program he had called his dream job. "Guys kind of lost focus there for a little bit, but we just had to gather the guys and put our focus on Boise State coming up. Luckily we got a guy like Coach Cristobal coming around." Just 4 days after the Ducks leave Las Vegas, recruits can sign letters of intent during college football's first early signing window. Though some recruits backed off their commitments following Taggart's departure, others in UO's top 10 2018 class took to social media to say they would stick together should Cristobal or Levitt be retained. Members of that class, which UO has called the Movement, celebrated the promotion Friday. "The Movement, hasn't stopped," Cristobal said. "It's only going to get stronger." Cristobal will earn $2.5 million annually as part of his contract, $400,000 less than Taggart did in his first year. That money will go toward retaining as many assistants as possible, though defensive coordinator Jim Leavitt, who also sought a promotion, is still expected by many to leave. Marcus Arroyo will be the sole offensive coordinator and play caller in 2018, Cristobal said. Cristobal's case was made stronger by the timing of Taggart's exit, as it made starting from scratch for the second time in a year an unpalatable option with signing day quickly upcoming. Mullins interviewed 4 candidates, with one being former Texas A&M coach Kevin Sumlin. "I think the guy knows what he's doing and he's got his work cut out for him," former UO coach Rich Brook said. "It's a tough deal when a guy comes in and leaves after 1 year. It's just a very unusual circumstance." UO's decision followed 2 days of lobbying from players to name him Taggart's successor. Players tweeted please and delivered a signed petition to Mullins' office Wednesday. "It is true that many of our team members supported his hiring, but that would be an easy excuse to hire Mario," Mullins said. "I would not be doing my job, acting in the best interests of this university and our football team, if I hired a new coach based on emotion or familiarity. That is exactly why I am confident of this decision, because it's so much more than that," said linebacker Troy Dye, who was heavily critical of Taggart upon his departure. "It was gratifying that Mr. Mullins definitely took our voices into account a little bit." 2 days after he interviewed with Mullins, Cristobal received a raucous ovation upon his introduction to the team Friday afternoon. Safety Brady Breeze described it as a big party and he pumped his arms in celebration before telling players it was only the beginning. This is Cristobal's second time as a head coach from 200,712. He was 2,747 at Florida International, which was a 3-year-old program. Saddled by academic sanctions that limited its available scholarships by the time Cristobal took over. The Panthers also had few, if any, facilities, which with to entice recruits. By Cristobal's 4th season, had won a conference title and made a bowl game. After turning down the Rutgers job in 2012 and earning a 5-year extension, he was fired at the end of the season in what was considered a surprise move. "In hindsight," he said Friday, "FIU was the perfect way to cut your teeth in coaching." Cristobal, a first-generation Cuban-American whose parents fled Cuba early during Fidel Castro's regime, had Cuban coffee delivered to staff meetings at FIU. His mother still mails Cristobal packages of the coffee in Eugene. "Coach is going to make sure everybody is doing their job the right way," said Cedric Calhoun, Cristobal's defensive line coach from 201,012 at FIU. "It's just loyalty and pride. It's very simple, but it's very hard." Cristobal worked under Nick Saban from 201,316 at Alabama, earning an honor for National Recruiter of the Year in 2015 and what he called a football PhD under Saban. Together, they won the 2016 College Football Playoff National Championship and played for another last January. Within days of the Crimson Tide's loss to Clemson, Cristobal had arrived in Eugene, the first job west of Alabama in his career. When friends from his Miami days arrived in September, they were curious to see how Cristobal fit in his new home. They found their friend who'd grown up around beaches and palm trees had taken quickly to evergreens and rivers. "We were surprised about that," Huerta said. "Cuban boy in Miami, all of a sudden in Oregon, you wouldn't think it. But sometimes, it just works." Andrew Grafe, at Oregonian.com @AndrewGrafe.